try. I wonder if it's the headphones. Just because that could be the case. Is it? No, the sound was messed up for everybody. So, is that better now? I have no idea. That feels. It's okay now. Okay, so it is the headphones. Well, I'm gonna have to play around with that. Let me go grab the other headphones real fast. Technical difficulties as always. Well, okay. We'll see if these work. These are the ones I normally use. So hopefully everything is okay with them. Is it if the crazy noise comes back, just let me know. I honestly have no idea what I'm connecting right now. Okay. So, okay, I can hear stuff. So, okay, so everything sounds okay. I can hear things. I don't know. I switched out headphones the other day just because I had been having problems with these, and evidently that's still, I'll have to play around with it. Anyway, whatever. We got to figure it out now. It wouldn't be a music stream if there wasn't some sort of technical kerfuffle at the beginning of it, right? So anyway, let me go ahead and get my stuff all set up and ready to go. Yeah, everybody's saying that it's sounding okay. Anyway, yeah. So I guess I've already wasted enough time. We can just get right into it. So I should make sure that the sound for the stream is actually turned on as well too. So muted, turned on. Okay, so we're good. Transition. Okay. All right. So like I said, we got 12/13 releases, and we are Andy Ground. Welcome. All right, we are going to start with EPs. I don't normally do this, but I think it's actually kind of a good way to do it today. We're going to start with EPs, kind of move from shorter releases up to longer releases, mainly because I do think that I got through quite a few albums this week, and I do think that they are fairly solid and strong on their own, and that they offer more, each of them in their own way, than these shorter releases. Although the short releases do tend to be much tighter. Yeah. So up first, we have the EP. Get a drink of water. We have the EP Pritворись, весёлой, which is like pretend to be happy, by the artist Кризис. So in terms of sound, we have a sort of a fuzzy but sharp DIY punk sound. It's kind of musically and lyrically in that depressed but angry teen. And it feels... CUPSIZE is a group that I have talked about twice before. I've featured two of their albums. One as a leftover from 2025 at the very beginning of January, and then I did cover one of their albums sort of in a timely fashion in September or October of 2025. So CUPSIZE, I feel like this is the type of sound that I imagine CUPSIZE and like their fan base having, and maybe CUPSIZE had in the past, but it's a very like kind of youthful, again, like DIY kind of punk sound, but not like super underground. Just let me give it a shot here. got the same sort of like aggressive, you know, like kind of unnecessarily violent lyrics. But also kind of depressive and self-defeatist, so. But just to offer the you think it is fake happy? I mean, Притворись, весёлой. Actually, maybe a better translation would be act happy, right? Притворись is like when you put on a front, when you act or pretend to do something. So весёлой is happy. So it's not just like that sort of upbeat and really kind of fast and energetic sound too. There is this slower thing going on here too. The only thing with fake happy is I'm not entirely sure I've ever heard that phrase before, like fake happy. Maybe it is like a more modern thing online, but I just don't know if personally I would ever use the term like fake happy. Притворись is also, to get into the grammar end of things, притворись is also a verb. I guess you can fake, but that would be like fake I don't know. It's, yeah, we're splitting hairs here. So anyway, yeah, it's a very short one, right? It's under 10 minutes long. It's very sort of, you're in and out before you even realize it. But I did want to feature this because this is actually something that came out at the beginning of May. Yeah, May 8th. But I did feel like it does have that CUPSIZE energy, and we're coming back to CUPSIZE later on, so it's worth mentioning here. And it is, it's kind of fun for what it is. It's very short, there's not like a lot to it, but you know. So yeah, that is the EP Притворись, весёлой by the group Кризис. Now, switching gears just a little bit, we have the EP Принцесса, беспорядка, or the Princess of Disorder by the group Акульи, слёзы. Wow. Shark's Tears. Акульи, слёзы. Yeah, all-female duo or all-female trio out of Ufa, who has, I think this is their first release, if I understand correctly, in the last few years. But seeing as how they haven't released anything since about 2022, I've heard of them before. I've seen some singles from them, but I didn't really listen to them before. It's sort of dream pop, that kind of bedroom dream pop. Just got like a nice hazy sound, like what you would expect for kind of like dream pop. So
Где-то рядом темнеет
So, again, right, with EPs, not always though, there are some very varied EPs, but a lot of times it's just a few tight songs in a very specific sound, and I guess that's what most albums are though, just EPs are shorter. I don't know, anyway. There's even a little bit of shoegaze happening here in the guitars. So yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit slower, a little bit dreamier, and again, kind of just hazier, then that's kind of what these 4 tracks are like. So yeah, that's the EP Принцесса, беспорядка by the trio акульи, слёзы. I don't know. One of those is some combination of that is probably sounding more or less okay, but whatever. Moving on, this is a group out of Moscow, which says it's a single, but since I had an EP which was 10 minutes long, I feel like this is going to sneak in here as well too, because honestly, all of these tracks are quite good. This is the group котарды, I think is how you say it. It's a type of old medieval garment. So it's like COTE-HARDIE, I think is the French spelling, котарды. But regardless, it doesn't matter. That's the name of the group. The EP here, Камера Обскура. This is, it's like, it's a hard sound, but I think it makes sense when you listen to it. It reminded me a lot of the sort of energetic pop punk of Yellowcard, but without the violin, which I know is kind of the key element of Yellowcard's sound, but kind of whatever. But there's also just like a little bit of the sort of radio-friendly emo in there, and the choruses all go for those like big arena rock Muse style things, but not like as formulaic as Muse. And then on the title track, which I'm not going to feature, there is the ending, kind of sounds like they lean into Avenged Sevenfold, oddly enough, but
Так хотелось бы быть беспечным, так хотелось бы жить всегда. Опять еду до конечной, опять еду в никуда. И кажется, каждый встречный меня провожает глазами. Я снова сломанный в этом городе, тело в ссадинах. Почему который раз на паркете я просыпаюсь без тебя? Мне снятся кошмары, где ты в главной роли. Ты знаешь все точки, как сделать мне больно. Почему?
So again, like, it's not quite pop punk. I mean, I can never remember what group this reminds me of, like this specific type of sound, but I do know it's from that mid 2000s to like early, or like mid to late 2000s, early 2010s of some alt rock style group. Maybe alt rock is maybe a better description, I guess. And this is when I mentioned Muse. I'll feature the Muse aspect as well a little bit here. I'm going to jump ahead. regardless of the various sounds, it's got like an overall I don't know, am I hallucinating the muse? Regardless, it's got a good energy. The overall sound is very well put together. It's kind of catchy. I don't know. These are the types of like fun size or bite-sized releases, which for me oftentimes act as a bit of a palate cleanser. Like if I've been listening to a longer album and then sort of like going through it, or listening to a few longer albums and getting all of my thoughts out, then having like just these quick little one-offs where it's like, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, it's just like, especially when they're well put together, I don't know, they just hit the spot. So I there's not a lot here, but I do have to call them out because they're a nice change of pace for me, at the very least. So yeah, anyway, that is the release, the EP Камера Обскура by the group Котарды out of Moscow here. But they're really only their second release. They had an EP a few years back. But okay, getting into something a little bit longer. We've breached the 20-minute mark, so this falls into my little mini album makeshift category. And this is the group Hуже, будет. So it won't get worse, it won't be worse. And the EP is Когда-нибудь, этот закончится. This dream will end sometime, at some point. It's a debut EP out of Moscow. You probably might be able to guess from the album artwork already. Just classic Midwest emo. Just at the start of summer here, really just, I don't know. It feels really crisp, really appropriate. Like a cold hipster beer on a hot summer day type of stuff. So I feel like last year too, at the beginning of summer, there were a few like small, short, emo, Midwest emo releases, and it just, I don't know, like there's something about this sound in particular that, I mean, obviously you can listen to it any time of the year, but it does feel kind of designed for those longer, more tumultuous emotionally nights of summer in youth. It's got the doodly doodlies, so we're in good. I know where the photo was taken from. I was just trying to figure out like the angle of that photo for a second, but wait. I think I know where it's taken from. Midwest emo. Just yeah, it's a nice little serving of it. It's 6 tracks. The first one is an intro track, but it also is very much a Midwest emo intro track with like the record, like it sounds like it's from a phone recording, and it's got the really slow and gentle guitar work over the top. So it's just like, it's a classic Midwest emo sound. And I don't know. I think there have been a few other Midwest emo releases so far this year, but it again, like, it just hit the spot this week when I came onto it. So yeah, that is the released mini album Когда-нибудь, этот, закончится by the group Хуже, будет. And now we're into albums. The rest of this is just straight up albums, which I'm honestly as surprised as maybe you are. But the first one we have is the album Birch and Sunset by the artist Vladislav Pankva. I don't have a lot to say about it. I'm just gonna like play it too. It's a very chill electronic release. It's like in the Venn diagram of house and down tempo, which I know are already pretty close related, and ambient, which is also kind of in there too. It's like in the middle. It's like at times it's got enough kind of speed and energy to feel more like house music. Most of the time it feels like it's very much in that down tempo, just sort of lounging area, but a lot of the sounds and overall atmosphere is very ambient as well too. The whole album is inspired by Russian nature, hence the Birch and Sunset title. I don't know. This is one of those albums that for a few mornings now, like, I've just been listening to, and it's just like so subtly happy and warm, right? It's got like the nice, the vocal samples aren't like, you can't really understand what's being said through your something, like, I don't know, it's just like everything comes together, just this very pleasant, it's just nice. And sometimes, right, like, you just want like good, feel good music. Maybe you can dance to it, maybe you can just doom scroll your phone, maybe you can fry yourself up some eggs, or I don't know, barbecue some meat, but it's just got like that pleasant groove throughout the whole thing. So album artwork is kind of, I don't know, so it's the one thing that I think kills me a little bit with the album, but let me jump into this one. The artist is also, if I remember correctly, from like St. Petersburg, up Karelia, north of St. Petersburg as well too. So you can imagine like the really long white nights and just like, I don't know, somebody throwing their own little DJ set on the side of Lake Ladoga or something. You get the idea, right? Like, from those two tracks, what you heard, that is more or less the energy of the whole thing. It's just very positive. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of sort of dance-inclined music tends to be like that too. But it does feel like a lot of the electronic music that gets released here is, and I think this is probably done intentionally, but it does feel like it is geared toward a specific season. Like in the winter and in the early spring, a lot of the electronic music feels a little bit colder. Just, I don't know, like it's not as energetic and upbeat a lot of the times. And this is very much, it does feel like a warm, pleasant evening, right? Under some birch trees, just kind of enjoying the sunset. So yeah, that is Birch and Sunset by Vladislav Pankva. All right, now we switch over to rap. This is the only rap release this week, but and it is from the Chemodan, who is an artist. It's an underground rapper. I featured his last album, which was Feet Off, in November of last year, and this is a non-album. In fact, that's the name of the album, Ne Альбом, which literally means not an album. And so basically, also, it's got like really pretty solid album artwork. Some of the I realize that this is almost certainly AI, but it's still, I don't know, it's fine. It's not the worst AI album artwork we've seen so far. It's actually kind of eye-catching in its own way. But yeah, the Chemodan does streams, I guess, I don't know, on Twitch or wherever the hell it happens to be, but on his streams a few months ago, he asked viewers and producers, whoever, to submit remixes from tracks off of his last two albums, and so this is the result. It's a patchwork of different sounds, from traditional underground rap beats to some that are a little bit more off kilter. There's some drum and bass beats here as well too. But yeah, even though the tracks themselves do repeat a little bit, we see Uno, Dos, Tres twice, we see Sama Likvidacija twice, we see Historia Morbi twice as well. I think the rest of them are only on once. But yeah, it does make for a slightly more interesting listen. So I'm going to try to hit some of those oddball beats. So like this one, for example, feels a little bit more of what I would consider an off-kilter beat. And I mean, the Chemodan is still like a pretty, all things considered, a pretty well-respected underground rapper here in Russia. Although I do remember mentioning in November that his voice is something that you really have to get, like it's a love it or hate it. You do get used to it, but
укусила злая собака снова, но я не расстроен, я верю, укусит и доброе завтра. Если хочешь поспорим, я снимаю перед вами шляпу.
And then we got like the drum and bass, or maybe not drum and bass. Yeah, drum and bass.
Шизофренических подробностей моего сна. Когда родился, помню, пуповину перегрыз сам. Через пару лет уже читал свой рэп по слогам. Разговариваем в темноте, нравится нам, чтобы никто наш бред не читал по губам. На вечеринках у Диди был Тимати или как-нибудь Джей-Зи, Джей-Ло, только родоначальники.
But I do have to say that the Choco Bear remix is probably the best one on the album. It's, I don't know, I'll let it play.
Я застрял в салате где-то среди овощей. Или возможно, что я тени сон, не знаю чей. Меня лечите, эй, зовите врачей. Видно сразу липкой эктоплазмы тут ручей. Воу, падение как способ, просто не смотрел кино, решил его прожить.
Pretty simple, right? I get it.
На эвтаназию не просто, что с того. Папа римский спицы, нафти подросткам. Пишу тебе советы после дешева.
I'll let it play for a second because I do want to talk about like I wish more artists would do this. I really like when there is that sort of community involvement and that artists are like open enough to letting people reinterpret their music. And I mean, it's kind of free advertising and a free release for them in some way. Like I know that the people who donated the remixes or who submitted the remixes might get some sort of cash prize for it, but like it's just cool because it gives these people a chance to get their name out there, or like I don't know, to do something. But then like as listeners, I don't know, you get to like re-experience songs through a new angle, and I do think that that's always kind of fun. Again, right? Really growing up with the like the music blog. Hold on, I think it's gonna. It switches up at some point, and I don't remember when it is exactly, but. Not yet. Growing up with the music blog thing, where when there were all sorts of music blogs in like the early 2010s, and there would be all sorts of remixes of like pop hits and indie songs and stuff like that, and it would just like, it felt like you could listen to the same song 20 different variations of it, and each variation would be new and fun and interesting in its own way. And like I understand why that kind of died off, but at the same time, I don't know, I miss people being like, you know what, I really like this song, I want to do my own version of it. I hope more artists do something like that in the future. But hold up, I think like that shift, like it's just such a nice tonal shift, right? It goes from kind of a little menacing, and then now it feels more like, I don't know, just like a fun block party atmosphere. And that's the reason I love these types of remix albums, because I have no idea who the hell Choco Bear is now. But I know in the future, if I see Choco Bear has done something, if for some reason his name pops up again, I'm just be like, yeah, that dude had like a really like awesome remix. So again, if you've never listened to the Chemodan, or if you've only vaguely or briefly listened to it, and you're not like super familiar with his last two albums, then jump on this. Even if you are familiar with his last two albums, you're okay, because these are all reinterpretations of it. They're remixes. So that is the album Ni Альбом by the artist The Chemodan, and more importantly by all of the people listed here as having provided the remixes. So yeah, really, really kind of fun and interesting release, and they did a nice job too with the album art. It is very eye-catching. But no. Is this gonna load? Well, we might not have the... Give me a second here real fast. Let me try to pull up Ambidextrous Idiorrhythmic. This actually works out too, because I wanted to open another image. So yeah, I don't think the picture is going to load, but that's okay, because I need to open a reference point here. And yeah, the image is not going to load. That's okay. I don't know. I can't show you the album artwork, but that's okay. You're here for the music. This is an IDM, electronic release that could best be described as fruitiger aero in audio format. There are moments on this album that feel like a modern take on a Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack. There are parts of it that feel like the electronic musicians like Gatekeeper or Iconia. It's a type of electronic music, feels like it's going off the rails into noodly zone, like Square Pusher, but it manages to keep enough repeated melodies and musical ideas that even though it feels like you're lost, you always have that kind of like yellow HUD display. Fruitiger Aero is this aesthetic, right, from the 2000s era. We're all familiar with it to some degree. It was used heavily, and these are like sort of really hard examples of it. Yeah, you can see like the Windows 97, they give a breakdown, right? HD quality, nature, humanism, futurism, skeuomorphism, glass gradients, glossy textures, blah, 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 blah. It's this aesthetic style in musical form, is what we're going to, is how I'm explaining it. So let me just hit play and I think you'll get it. Oh, the album artwork came up. All right, cool. Even the album artwork has a little bit of that going on. Not as natural. I should also mention too, Ambidextrous is a producer here in Russia. This is actually released on an Italian label, if I remember correctly, and I've only been able to find it on Bandcamp. So yeah, but Ambidextrous is one of those electronic producers that I don't know if it's fair to say like your favorite producer's favorite producer type of thing. But when you see a lot of discussions from like members of the electronic or like the DJing community or whatever here, you do see Ambidextrous brought up occasionally or like from time to time with like sort of a lot of respect. So I don't know, make of that what you will. So it's kind of bouncy. It kind of feels, again, it like, I don't know. It feels like, it kind of feels like the old Windows desktop background given audio form. I don't really, it's a vibe, I guess. But there is something to it, and I don't know exactly if it is just that nostalgia for a sound that didn't even exactly exist at that period of time, but there is something captivating about this album, which even though it is fairly long. I mean, these are not short tracks by any means. It never feels like it drags. It's constantly doing something. It's constantly moving. All right, one. We don't come to Bandcamp very often, so I do want to. So if the Birch and Sunset album was all about, I don't know, like chilling on the side of a northern lake, watching the white nights. This feels like jet set radioing around the big city during the summer with your, I don't know, like oversized boots and ridiculous glasses or whatever. But very interesting release. Bandcamp is one of those places that, again, if I'm featuring it here, it means that I do think it's worth like going over and checking out. Bandcamp in general is a good site, but it's a little bit harder to find music sometimes. Sometimes not, though. They do have some good recommendations, so I don't want to say that necessarily. It's just the interface might feel a little less welcoming for people who are unfamiliar with it. Anyway, that is the album Idiorrhythmic by the artist Ambidextrous. So, and yes, now you know that the name of that aesthetic was Fruitiger Arrow. But all right, we are on to CUPSIZE. I said we were going to talk about CUPSIZE. Here we are. CUPSIZE released a double album, a 2-disc album, and at first I thought it was not really that, but you can see it is. We have an hour and 15 minutes worth of music here. This even back in the day would have been split into a double album. CUPSIZE has been teasing this for months, and it further outlines their trajectory from Ty Segall garage rock meets pop punk into something that's a little bit closer to Ariel Pink indie art rock, which honestly in the long term is probably better for them as a group. Gives them a little bit more flexibility, makes their sound more varied and interesting. To be sure, there are still a ton of songs that are cringy edgelord lyrics about giving people AIDS or like calling your girlfriend stupid or getting stabbed in the stomach 17. I don't like, it's just like cringy edgelord lyrics. And I did see some reviewers who were kind of upset with that and saying like, well, it's pretty obvious that these types of lyrics are a result of the group's like hip hop roots, which I feel like is kind of idiotic because let's be real, mindless self-indulgence existed and their lyrics were probably, if you compare them to CUPSIZE's lyrics, just as cringy and misogynistic and pretty bad edgelord type of shit, right? So yeah, and mindless self-indulgence were definitely not from the hip-hop community. So all that said, the second of the 2 discs, even though it's not like a clear division, the first disc feels a lot more like the older sound of CUPSIZE, and the second disc feels a lot more like the newer, more experimental, because you have tracks like, am I gonna be able to find it now? Jesus Christ, where is it? There's 26 of them, so yeah, right, like you have tracks like the 17 Knife Wounds, which, again, remember Crisis from the start, right? That sort of like faster. Like, this is that, I guess, classic CUPSIZE sound, as far as I understand. Which I do like, right? I'm not going to pretend I don't. So, got that kind of rambunctious, rowdy energy. The kind of like vulgar lyrics, if you will. It's not that bad. They swear a little bit. Well, the lyrics here are a little bit different. But that's balanced out by like a lot of the tracks on the second album, or the second disc, if you will. And this is what I meant, like it that indie art rock type of direction. It's not really quite that, but maybe just indie rock, if you will. I mean, something in the melody here reminds me of MGMT with kids, right? Without the psychedelic aspects of it, but so the sequencing on this album will potentially be surprised, because on the first disc you have a lot of like really upbeat and aggressive, or like not aggressive but like really fast-paced stuff, and then they might drop a track like this, and the second disc tends to be a little bit more reserved, but it still has its own, like it still has the upbeat things. It's a long listen, but I do think, and I don't love every single track on this, but first of all, I do appreciate the fact that they didn't split this into 2 albums and they just released this all at once, which, you know, in the era of the internet, you can release things whenever you want to. Like, cool. Maybe there is some sort of methodology, and this is more beneficial for them in terms of streaming numbers in the long run, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. But like, I get the popularity of this band. I get why with the younger crowd, it's this thing. This is the type of music that had to come out 15 years ago. I know the bars that we frequented, they would have been spinning some of these songs. Some of these songs are the ones that we would have been listening to while sitting around kitchen tables with a collection of miniature glasses and full ashtrays. Like, there's just something about it. So, I don't know. I get it. It's not my favorite band, but at the same time, I get it. There's something to it. Not every song is going to land, but again, when you have 26 of them, and I would say that, at least for me personally, the majority of them did land. I think that's commendable. Anyway, I'll cut it off there. There's a lot here. It's definitely worth digging through, I would say. If that general sound is something that is, you know, enjoyable for you, or yeah, if you just don't like that sound, then yeah, this is 26 tracks of stuff that you're probably not going to like in general. But that is the album Zastav, меня плакать, or Make Me Cry. And yeah, the group is CUPSIZE. Заставь меня плакать. All right. Coming into the final 4 here, we have Vladislav 2 by Chernoburkv. Last year, at the very end of January last year, She released an album. I don't remember the name of it. I guess I can check. It was Второе дыхание. Yeah. Второе дыхание. And last year I described it as moody dark pop with heavy sinister bass lines and lurking synths, airy layered female vocals. That's kind of it. It's less dark this time around. It's more electro pop, but it's also a continuation of an album from 5 years ago, so I don't know how much of a continuation it is. It's a sequel album, which is always kind of odd, but I don't really know what it is about this sound. I don't know like what exactly to pin or blame it on, but this album reminds me of a very specific era of pitchfork music with and the electronic indie groups that they would feature, like The Knife or Fever Ray or Purity Ring, of course Zola Jesus, who I mention quite regularly here. Yeah, I mean, if you like those groups and you miss the sound of that era, then this is going to be for you. But I'm gonna hit a few tracks. I think you'll recognize the sound. Churches, maybe. Also a fairly sizable album, right? 20 songs, an hour long. The intro and the outro track do bookend quite well. Karozik, glad you could pop in. Like this electronic part. Well, Karozik, you'll always be able to check it out later. It's always in the live tab, so you know where to find it. Also, it's understandable. Tomorrow is the start of a 3-day weekend, so schedules are a little bit different for people. Like this track in particular reminded me a lot of kind of The Knife and Fever Ray. Again, that kind of off-kilter sound. Ah, well, I guess congratulations on the new job. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's a big ass project. It's a really big project, so. But yeah, the sort of stranger, more off-kilter tracks are there. There are a few of them across the 20, but for the most part, they are kind of that classier, more classic, you know, like electro pop sound. Although, if before I mentioned like the late 2000s, early 2010s, this is definitely more of a throwback to an 80s sound. 2000 workers. Yeah, I feel like Olimpijski's opening or entering the final stage of the work, so I imagine that they're trying to push through. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it's like inside. Some of the best concerts I was ever at in this country, like in terms of the big ones, were in Olimpijski. So when they tore it down, I was a little bit sad. Like I saw System of a Down there. I saw Slipknot there multiple times. I saw, Christ, who else did I see? Fear Factory was there with Slipknot, I want to say. a lot of metal groups, but so again, if you lived through the early, like the late 2000s, early 2010s of indie electronic music on Pitchfork, then this is that era. I mean, just in general, like indie electronic pop music of that time period. And I don't know, like I loved it then, I loved it now, or I love it now. So it's nice. It's pretty straightforward. Like, it's even kind of got the aesthetics of that time period, although slightly updated for like the darker, moodier stuff going on in the mid 2020s at this point in time. But yeah, that is the album Laviets Slov 2 here by the artist Chernoburkv. And getting into the final three, we are moving into the heavier end of things. Not like straight up metal. This is probably the heaviest release. This is Stужа. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Stужа, or is it Stужа? I always get into these groups and then I don't even know what that. Where is the stress mark in I love the wiki dictionary. Stужа, yeah, okay, I was right. This is their album Zov Полярной Звезды, which is the call of the polar star, or like the northern star, if you will. When I first started listening to this, I found like I found this listed in like one of the music groups, and it basically got no discussion. And the discussion was like, oh, it's pretty basic black metal. And so when I started listening to it, I was like, yeah, it's pretty solid, kind of by the books black metal. But I got into the back half of it, and then it was just like, whoa. There was a lot more going on here than I expected. And after finishing the back half of the album, I went back and re-listened to the first half, and I started paying attention to some of the little details going on, and I realized that it actually is not a very by the books black metal release. Like in the back half, you're going to hear things that feel like it's power metal, or some sort of amalgamation of thrash and black metal with some death metal thrown in there. It's just there's a lot more nuance to the overall sound. I'm just gonna like hit play. It's black metal, so just brace yourself, I guess. But like, I was expecting a really basic, generic kind of black metal album, and it does start like that. And if you're not really paying attention, it could feel like that. And I kind of wasn't paying attention at first, but then, like I said, in the back half of the album, things started happening that forced me to pay attention. So and I'm not a black metal fan, but also, like, all Russian black metal bands now are going with like this like evil forest creature vibe, which is kind of like, it's fine, I guess, but I wonder when it's going to wear out or get burnt out. It's just like, it's also really clean for black metal. Like that, I don't know, this reminds me so much of just like old thrash. It's, I don't know, I don't know, I gotta jump ahead a little bit though. I guess it didn't change, I gotta I'll get to that. I'll get that in a second, Karosik. I gotta wait for the back half of this song. Like, when it comes to the bands, I guess it's just like there aren't a lot of groups touring right now that I would care to see, and the groups that are touring right now, even were everything as it was, like, there's no guarantee that they would have come here. Like, Slipknot, sure, but Slipknot's not really touring right now. Nine Inch Nails maybe would have come. Like, a lot of the groups I actually want to see. I was talking about this with a friend not long ago who's in Belgium, and we were looking at the summer music festivals. Just like, you look at the lineups, and they're so varied. They're just not... yeah, Seven Dust. Oh, gee, yeah, Seven Dust. I'm sure they would. Yeah. This is what I was talking about. Love this. Like, it feels epic in a way that black metal just typically does not feel. With like these, like, the it's not enough. Like, there aren't as many minor chords. The music is lifting too much. It's like more positive in a weird way. I don't know. Like, maybe... Ibrahim. Congratulations on finally making it to Ulan Ude. Yeah, the time difference is brutal, man. It's got to be like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock at night / morning, so... yeah, man. I saw that you had made it, and that you were getting in, settled in with your lessons, but yeah. Anyway, like with the sound here, this feels like something out of a post-metal type album. It does not feel like black metal. There's just... I could play more, but I feel like that song encapsulates. Yes, if you start at the beginning of the album, you're going to get stuff that does feel a lot more like classic black metal. But when you focus in on it, you start paying attention to like what the guitars are doing, and just in general the overall, like, the little spice that they're adding to the tracks, you'll understand that it's black metal, but it's just like not like straight up black metal. And it makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more dynamic. I think that's typically my problem with black metal, is that it's just not very dynamic. It just is kind of the same thing over and over and over again. But here, even though the tracks are quite long in most cases, it never really feels like it's dragging. Like, there's enough stuff going on, and they switch it up enough. But yeah, man. Anyway, that is the album Zov Polyarny Zvezdy by the group Stужа, which I don't know where they're from, but I do believe they are from the north, because Stужа is like connected to cold. But yeah, with before I hit up the next album, so yeah, Ibrahim, the time difference is quite intense, and I saw that the language learning was quite rough, but that's... Russian universities are notorious with just not usually doing a very good job of helping foreigners adapt. It's like a sink or swim type situation, but you, yeah, I mean, it's, you're here now, which is going to, it's like half the battle. If you're here, you can start to get the practice just from being here, and it's rough at first, it always is, but especially if you can start to, I don't know, like, make some connections with some of the local people at your university, which hopefully you are. I don't know what the situation's like in Ulan-Ude, but hopefully that's the case. And then Karozik with the festival situation. Yeah, the prices are out of control, and it's not like it's out of control, but it's that the lineups they're trying to cater to so many people that you don't really care about most of the bands. But we were looking at even sort of specific festival lineups, like for electronic festivals and for metal festivals. And even then, I don't know if it's just because the generational thing now, or just simply because the internet has kind of broken the monolith of genre culture. But it feels like even with the genre festivals, that a lot of times it's just not that exciting anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I do. There was in the last few days some people joking about the Park Live 2022 lineup, which was supposed to have Deftones, Slipknot, and I think Muse were supposed to be the headliners, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. It was definitely Deftones and definitely Slipknot. And then it was originally supposed to be for 2020, but then COVID happened and it got pushed off to 2022, and then the war happened and it just got officially canceled. But like Moscow used to have really good music festivals with solid lineups. And it was one of those things where I feel like even if they were still happening today, I feel like the lineups would probably still be pretty good, because a majority of the problems with those lineups were just like so many groups. Not that many groups break into the Russian music scene. So there's like that automatic filtering to some degree. So I don't know. Anyway, on to annушкаа, which is I remember seeing Tool at Lollapalooza, which was man, Lollapalooza used to kick so much ass too. It used to be such a fun. I remember Nine Inch Nails and Tool and Rage Against the Machine and Deadmau5 and just like so many good groups, and like the like obscure indie bands, Girl Talk and Saws. Yeah, I still feel like Deftones would be pretty fun. I saw Deftones here when they were touring for Diamond Eyes at like some goofy little club. But I saw As I Lay Dying here, Every Time I Die. I saw, there used to be like some, especially with metal groups. I saw Mastodon here as well too. But anyway, annушкаа here is basically what would happen if the hipster black metal of Death Heaven were to be melded together with dreamy female-fronted indie shoegaze music that is all the rage here in Russia right now. So which is basically what happened. They took like the dreamy shoegaze female-fronted type of stuff and mixed it together with Death Heaven. Ibrahim, honestly, it's practicing with the locals is going to be. It's always difficult in the beginning, and it's frustrating, but like kind of spending more time with the locals is the way to do it. Like I think living in any foreign country, if you don't know the language, is never for beginners. Even if it's a Western country one, you're just like, I can move to France or Germany or whatever, but like just because not only there, you might speak English and other people speak English, but even if it's like there's just the rules that you don't know and all of the other little things. And Russia's definitely difficult though, because especially in Ulan-Ude, you are literally like it's all Russian pretty much. So I'm sure there are some people who can speak a little bit of English, and that does help. Again, I think even with younger people all the way out there, it's probably still not super uncommon. But anyway, annушкаа, just one of those things where the music here, it's got that Death Heaven hipster black metal, which goes really, really hard in the background, but then the lead singer has got these really kind of just like nice floaty vocals up in the front. It's basically it's like a video of like some puppies and kitties frolicking around in a field full of butterflies while like a house burns to the ground in the background, right? It's just like this nice mix of stuff. So it's one of those albums that feels weird when you first get into it, but it kind of clicks, and then it does. The second half too is much calmer, right, than the first half. Not to say that the first half is like super aggressive and out of control, but like there are a lot more slower and less aggressive tracks in the back half. But still, on the whole, this is one of those, just like a nice album, and it's like a kind of a different one, which makes it all the more interesting to listen to. Not really sure what we're going with the album artwork here, so. Got the black metal. Like, it's such a nice dichotomy. I don't know. It's this isn't the type of album that I would be like, oh yeah, this is like one of the top albums of the year, but it's like a really pleasant one, and it's in an odd way. Well, mathematics will be all right. You'll be fine. You got 3 days to study, so you'll let's see, it's the 11th, so yeah, you're the final exam now, right? I gotta jump ahead a little bit. So this is what I'm talking about, like that kind of back and forth. We have that really kind of bouncy, kind of indie sort of thing going on, and then once the instruments are allowed to have their way, they just kind of like come ripping through. Yeah, Korozek is right. You do have to sleep a little bit to get the studying thing. Don't let your nerves get the best of you, right? You gotta take a deep breath, take a walk if you need to, but yeah, get your rest, do your revision. It's mathematics. You know your stuff. Okay. So anyway, it's kind of been back and forth here, but that is the overall sound of and I do think that the first track here, it does a pretty good job of introducing it as well too, where it's very fast and aggressive with the guitar and the drums, but vocally when the lead singer comes through, it does like settle down and becomes much softer and more gentle. Also, the songs are kind of just about goofy stuff. This is about finding like films. Juxtaposition, dichotomy, however you want to say it. There's a nice back and forth on that album. It makes it an interesting listen. It also makes it one that is actually, in its own way, it will hook you and drag you in a little bit. It's, I don't know, the vocals are never so aggressive that it's a turn off. The instruments are never so in your face that for people who don't like it, it feels overwhelming. So yeah, that is the self-titled debut or self-titled release from Annushka. So and last up, so the final album here is Depressionism by the group Попытка, принятия. This is not an album that I necessarily expected would kind of blow me away. It's one of those that I saw the album artwork, I was kind of whatever, but it's, what if you put post-punk together with shoegaze and industrial noise rock, and post-punk, shoegaze, industrial noise rock is one of those sounds. It's very, very organic. It feels like a really good combination, and I just don't know if I've ever heard it before. This whole album reminds me of like early Health, specifically the song Die Slow. Another point of reference would maybe be Death from Above, 1979. But all of that filtered through the post-Soviet, post-punk prism. It's got also a lot of backing synths, which reminds me of the synths from the first two Orgy albums. So it's a really weird mix of sounds, but it all clicks together so well. There are certain albums where, like, I don't think anyone's really going to talk about this, but for me personally, I heard this and just like, that's great. I love this. The same thing happened not long ago with 100 Dogs, right? Sto Sabak. And let me just go ahead and put it on. Let me stop talking. Like, the general sound doesn't change that much throughout, but there's enough variations of it, and it's so tight regardless that, I don't know, it's just like such a good album. With the teaching real fast down there, can you like record or do an audio recording of the class while you're in there? Because that could help, maybe, like, if you didn't understand something, you could then maybe potentially repeat it. Oh yeah, the teachers don't care at all. They're not paid enough to care. So I'm just gonna so you get the general idea. It's got that sort of noisier industrial sound, but a little bit of the reverb from shoegaze and the overall post-punk of the post-Soviet region. We'll go with that one. So, like I said, the sound is pretty similar across the tracks, but I don't know, it was this specific combination of everything rolled into one. It was so much of a surprise. I feel like I've heard this in the past. I've heard this type of sound before, but it's not super common. It's not something I was expecting, and it's also just really good. Everything about this album is just really good from start to finish. It never feels like it's weighing down on you. It never feels like it's too aggressive, right? You have these little moments here where things lighten up, and there's all that, but so yeah, kind of maybe an odd choice. I think this is one of those albums that, on the whole, most people hear are not necessarily going to hear of or even listen to. But I do think there's something here. I don't know. Again, it's just one of those sounds that clicked very much for me. But part of that does have to do with the sort of uniqueness of it. So I'm gonna leave us here with the Sonic Death cover. Sonic Death 2 was, if I remember correctly, an underground group from St. Petersburg. I don't know if they're still around, but so yeah, that is the group Попытка, принятия, and the album is Depressionism. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, at least with the music end of things. I do want to kind of jump into the chat right there. With regards to the situation, jumping in with university, I didn't even have it that bad either. I just sort of jumped into adult life here. I missed out on the university thing here specifically. But what I would say, Ibrahim, if you have some classmates that, I feel like that would be who to turn to. Do you have any people in your course who you can maybe get a little bit of some explanation from as well? Just because even if it is in Russian, getting it from a fellow student, a classmate, would probably be a little bit easier to understand than coming from the teacher at the head of the room. So it's rough. Like I'm not trying to be dismissive or downplay it. The first period of time is always rough, and doing it as a student is even more so, especially here, I do think. So, I mean, I think what you might, if you could find some other students, local people are good, but yeah, like you said, they're going to have their own schedules and their own lives. If you can find some classmates who are, well, either like you, dealing with the language curb, but who maybe understand the material a little bit better, or again, local Russians in your group who would be willing to give you a hand to help you out a little bit. But the first period of time is always rough, and it's not just one of those things where it's difficult hearing a foreign language all the time, right? You just get tired from it. Your brain gets tired from it, and it feels like it's impossible to communicate. It feels like it's impossible to understand stuff. But it's different for different people. But if you are working to learn the language, if you're sitting in class and you're trying to understand what's going on, it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen automatically. But there will, let's see, you've been here since the 26th of January, if I remember seeing correctly. So sometime in, I would say, and it's not, maybe not like super reassuring, but sometime in the next half of a year, there is going to be a moment where, because I think this is how it is from most people I've talked to, where like your brain starts to make sense of it, right? You're actively studying the language and it feels like you're not getting it, but at some point in time, just like it is with a little baby, right? Little babies don't actively study the language. It's just like they hear it, and then at some point in time, the brain starts to make sense of stuff. And yes, you're dealing with language that's focused on education, so it's going to be more complicated than what babies see or listen to, but your brain is still doing the work. And if you are actively practicing and focusing and like trying to learn new words and trying to pay attention to what's going on, that's already like a huge thing, right? You are going to, it will get easier ultimately. It's rough. And then obviously too, there is going to be probably a period of time. It's different for different people, but around the 1 year mark, I think is pretty common, where people get really like not disgusted, but they get kind of fed up with the country. They get like really stressed out. It's culture shock in its own way. Like there's the first wave of culture shock when you first come to a place and it's all new and different. And then there's like a second wave of it when you've been in a place long enough that you've kind of adapted to it. I don't know what it is, but there's like a second wave of it that comes later on. But it does get easier, right? I think what I would just say, Ibrahim, is you came here because you had the opportunity for that education, and it's not going to be easy, but like soldier on, keep pushing through. Yeah, Russian, chemistry, math. I mean, I've seen Russian mathematics. I don't know what the chemistry looks like, but I think the one nice thing, at least about the sciences, is the sciences in theory are kind of the same regardless of language, because like mathematics is still mathematics, chemistry still is chemistry. And with those types of subjects, as if you can figure out kind of like certain words and phrases that are connected to certain tasks that you need to do, then if you understand the mathematics, it's not a problem. Now, if you don't understand the mathematics, then you could, I don't know. Well, I don't know if there are, there's probably YouTube videos for higher end mathematics, right? I've never looked, but I'm assuming there are probably university level mathematics videos out there on YouTube as well. So if there is a concept you don't understand, you could always probably watch it in whatever language is comfortable for you. I don't know, you'd have to look into it, but yeah, it's rough. I think maybe the way to look at it right now is you have to finish the session right now, but then you'll have a break for the summer, right? And if you have a break for the summer, then assuming you stay in the country, that will be a really good opportunity for you to actually just like at a more relaxed and leisurely pace, spend time out with people using your Russian, and like it will be in a much less stressful environment than the classroom. Like, yeah, you do have to get through your exams and finish the school year before then, but if I understand correctly, you'll have about a 2-month break, at which point in time you can, again, take a step back from studies, at least like really serious active studies, and just kind of try to get in that language practice. Anyway, yeah, it's hard. Moving to a new country is hard. Doing anything in a country where you don't know the language is hard, and a university education is no different. They really do need to do a bit more with regards to like allowing or creating like a semester of Russian courses for foreign students. I don't think it would be that difficult for the government to set up, and I think it would be a lot better. But unfortunately, that is not on their list of priorities right now, and I don't think it's going to be on the list of priorities for the foreseeable future. So I guess what I will say is 2 things. One, just soldier through. Exams do come to an end, and you know you'll do your best, and that's all that you can do, right? You'll do what you can, and you'll do the best that you can, and that's it. Like, there's no point in worrying about it ultimately, because that changes nothing. The other thing that I would say is, and it's something that Karozik mentioned, get some sleep, right? Try to relax a little bit. I know it's stressful, but yeah, not sleeping, stressing out is Russian language. Yeah, hit it up on YouTube, all that stuff as well too. With the internet as it is right now, there are a lot of tools and resources available online that make things easier than it was in the past. But and I understand, like, it's hard to throw language learning in on top of mathematics and chemistry and all of that other stuff. But yeah, and like as Karozik said, right, in most foreign institutes in other countries, they usually have an adaptation period where they get, I don't know, 2 years feels kind of, I guess for Czech, yeah, that would make sense. But like even in English language schools in foreign countries, they'll sometimes give you like if you go to the Netherlands or something like that, you can take a semester, if I remember correctly, in a lot of cases like that. That obviously does not exist here, but which is unfortunate, because I have seen, what I will say, Ibrahim, is I have seen people here in Moscow facing the same struggles, right? So it's not even necessarily a, like it's an ulan-ude. It's just, I don't know if that's any better or reassuring. Russian grammar in Russian. She will teach me Russian grammar in Russian, but yeah, having a Russian teacher is good, but if it's pricey too, I mean, you are in the country. There are, I don't know, look around online. I don't want to, you know better what works for you, right? So if having a one-on-one lesson with somebody is going to be more beneficial to you, then that probably is worth the money. If you don't feel like it's giving you any benefit, then yeah, it's not worth it, because you are literally in the country, and there are, I'd have to check, but I know there are Russian language books for foreigners that are in English, right? Like, and going through it by yourself might not be the most, but again, if you do, like, if you have a self-guided study book that you're working through, there are enough like basic Russian explanation type videos on YouTube. There are a number of channels. I know the algorithm throws them at me from time to time, so keep your eyes open. Just work on getting through finals. Try not to stress too much. I think that's, aside from the finals thing, I think that's good advice for everyone, which is, right, you take it day by day, and everything will be all right in the end, one way or another. But my voice is rugged and ragged, or whatever the hell it is right now. So Ibrahim, I would tell you, try to go get some sleep and resume your studies after you've gotten some rest. Everyone else, I think it's probably time for most of us to go get some rest ourselves. But I'm glad everyone tuned in. Karozik, thanks for showing up. Andy at the start. Obviously, Nancy, thanks for tuning in as well. And Ibrahim, yeah, it'll work out, right? It'll work out. It's tough, but it was always going to be tough. Russia is not an easy country ever. But yeah, I know the time difference is there, but if you're ever up late at night again, feel free to stop on by. I'm always happy to chat. So yeah, just like Karozik said, we're always kicking around here. So feel free to come on by and I don't know, voice complaints or ask for advice, and we'll try as much as we can. But anyway, everyone have a good evening or a good afternoon, or in some cases a good morning. I will see you when I see you, but until then, you all take care of yourselves. That's the main thing there, right? Everything will be all right. But yeah, I guess until next time, whenever that happens to be, paka paka.